And good morning. Welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I am Ken Walls. I'm your host, and I am very, very excited to be on here this morning. I have somebody joining us all the way from, I would say, South Central Australia. I have the amazing Leanne Isaacson. Did I say your name right? I hope I did.
You did, absolutely.
Well, you
I'm
look.
not quite sure whether actually I can say good morning because it's 12:30 in the morning here on Wednesday morning in Australia.
And we already talked about it before the show, and I found out that the future is good. It's good.
The future's fantastic. I don't have the lotto numbers, so I can't help you.
That's awesome. So Leanne, you and I have been friends on Facebook for a while. We don't really know each other too well, but I do see that you are a very, very interesting lady. You have like you're known as the queen of LinkedIn. Like you know LinkedIn really well, right?
I do know LinkedIn very well. Yeah, I do.
Good. Well, hopefully we can all learn some things from you. And you know, I created this show. It's Breakthrough Walls. It's a show to help people get unstuck in life. And you know, we have all been through the crap that life can throw at us, and we all get stuck. And I believe that we grow and we learn by hearing other people's stories. I think it's an inspiring thing, right? So
Absolutely. Yeah.
So let's start with tell everybody who you are, where you were born and raised.
So I'm Leanne Isaacson. I live in Australia, but I live in South Australia in a place called, in the capital city of South Australia, which is Adelaide. So most people, when they think of Australia, they think of either Sydney, which has the Opera House and the Sydney Harbour Bridge. They think of Melbourne, or they think of the Gold Coast, which is on the east coast of Australia. So I sort of live down the bottom in the middle, and we're probably a bit unique because we're we have a time difference of a half an hour behind the eastern seaboard. So we're a bit unique. We're a half an hour, on time difference. So I've been a farmer for pretty much most of my life. But our farm sold at the end of February. So I actually, for the first time, it's probably only been about 10 years of my life that I've not lived on a farm. So I'm a city girl now. So
wow.
So that's me.
Wow. So when you say a farmer, like, and whenever, and look, in America, anytime somebody says Australia, the very first thing we think of are kangaroos. So, like,
Yeah,
we don't have
correct.
them here, right? They're in the zoo, but you know, so, and you were telling me some interesting things. I actually Googled it. That you used to have wallabies in your backyard.
We did. We used to. So we had. So the farm that I went back to our country area and married a farmer. So we had about 2,500 acres.
Wow.
And pretty much predominantly cattle on our. So when I grew up, we had sort of, you know, sheep and cereal and a few cattle. But when I got married, we pretty much had a cattle farm. So and we lived about 15 miles from our closest town.
Wow.
And so there were a lot of wild kangaroos. That was the roads that I used to travel. So, it was very kind, you literally got to the stage where you didn't look at the road in ahead of you. You looked at the sides of the road to make sure that there was no kangaroos about to jump in front of you.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do people hit them with their cars?
Yeah.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they do.
Oh
I hit I haven't hit too many, but I did. I was working for a government department at one stage, and I was going somewhere, and I hit a couple of kangaroos in my car, which was a bit of a nuisance.
Yeah, I'll bet. I'll bet.
They can do a lot of damage because you hit them and then they bounce actually onto the windscreen, and yeah, so
Oh, Lord.
they're cute, but they're cute, but they're annoying.
I heard that they can be you don't ever want to confront one and have it like I've heard that they can be dangerous too.
Yeah, they can be. They probably more towards dogs. Yeah, because generally, if like if a kangaroo's in the wild, it'll just jump away.
Yeah.
It very rarely would it stand. Like you be in a position that you would. Although people have been attacked on golf courses, here in by
Oh
kangaroos
my
on golf courses. Yeah.
Oh my Lord!
There have been, but no, we did have wallabies in our, like we had probably an acre yard at the back of the house that my husband had built, and we were given a couple of wallabies by a friend, and it seemed a good idea at the time, but the two wallabies actually ended up having 2 in their pouches, which became 4, which then became 8, and we ended up, with this whole menagerie of done wallabies.
And those are just like miniature kangaroos.
Yeah, they are, and they don't really get tamed. Whereas kangaroos can be tamed. Like if you happen to get one as a joey, then kangaroos become tame. So we did. I did have a friend that they had a couple of kangaroos in their backyard, and they're quite cute, but the wallabies, no, they don't particularly get tame.
Well, I'm sure that I'm sure you didn't want to be on my show to just discuss kangaroos and wallabies, but that to me, I find that absolutely amazing because again, we don't have them here. So, growing up, you grew up on a farm.
Yeah, I grew up on a farm.
Okay,
yep, I did.
And it was a cattle farm.
Yeah, so when I grew up, it was more a sheep and like cropping farm.
Okay.
So we used to my 2 sisters and myself, we used to spend quite a bit of time in the sheep yards with Dad, and in the shearing shed and helping get the sheep in and driving I was going to say the ute. You won't even know what that means. In your world, it would be called a pickup.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, in your world, it would be called a pickup. So, driving our ute, probably, from when I was 7 or 8 and, zooming around on the farm in the ute.
Yeah. It's called a ute? A ute?
Yeah, it's called a utility.
Oh, gotcha.
Utility.
Okay.
Whereas, yes, in your world, it would be called a pickup.
Oh,
yep.
Wow. Okay.
Pickup.
So, and you said something else. You said cropping. What is that?
Oh, growing grain.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Like wheat.
Like crops.
Yeah, wheat. Crops.
Okay. Gotcha.
Crops. Yep.
So,
yeah, that's where I grew up.
Wow. Okay. So you grew up on a farm, and you went to school. Like, I don't even know the schooling system there, but I assume it's there's some similarities.
So I went to our local school until probably the second to last year of our high school, and then I moved to Adelaide and went to boarding school. So I pretty much left the farm when I was 14 or 15, which was in Adelaide. And so then I left, so I did a couple of years at boarding school, and then I got a job and I worked in Adelaide for about 7 or 8 years.
Now, how big? What's the population of Adelaide? You said it's the capital city of this southern Australia.
I am so bad with figures. I don't know. Maybe you'd better Google that while. I'm so bad. I can't tell you what the population of Adelaide is.
But you can tell me how many LinkedIn followers you have. That's unbelievable.
you, I can tell you I've got 30,000 LinkedIn connections,
I
and
know.
probably quite a few of them are from Adelaide. That's so bad, isn't it? I don't know the population of Adelaide. I could probably pretend to be, be looking at my phone and I can Google it.
I'll look it up. But so is it a city? It's a city though, right?
No, it's the
Okay, okay,
capital city of Adelaide,
okay.
of South Australia,
So it
yes.
has tall buildings and
It
all that.
does. It
Okay.
does have tall buildings, and it has an airport. It has an
Oh wow.
international, yeah, it
Okay,
does.
good, good. So that is funny. So maybe I can get my producer slash my wife to look that up for me. The capital of
That'll be really good.
Adelaide. I don't even know how to spell Adelaide. So
Adelaide.
there you go. Okay.
Yeah,
So
that'd be really good to save your guests the embarrassment.
that is so funny. Oh my gosh. So you grew up on a farm. You ended up going
Yeah.
to boarding school
hmm
in Adelaide.
Yep,
Okay.
correct.
And then and that's till you graduated high school. Okay.
Yep,
Did you go to
yep. And
college?
then I worked for a like an accountant for a
Okay.
couple of years,
Okay.
and then I worked for a public company as the share registrar
Okay.
for about 6 years. So I was involved with like the share industry.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Like
I did that, and then I went back to to my hometown
well,
and got married.
so when you say the shear industry, you mean like
Uh, Share market.
all share the like stock trading.
That's it. Yes,
Okay,
stocks.
okay, okay, okay.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just trying to piece the puzzle together here. And again, that's what I love. I love having you on here because I love the differences in life. I love that. Like if you came to have you ever been to the United States?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
No.
So if you came here, you would be like, these people are crazy. It's all the opposite. Like I have a good friend that lives in England, and he's always putting pictures on Instagram of driving in his BMW, and I'm like, dude, you're on the wrong side of the road. He's like, you are. And I'm
It's
like,
actually funny. Like when I used to, I think we sort of met originally on the platform Blab,
okay, yeah,
and probably I don't know how many of your followers would know what Blab was, but
right, right. It was so
it
cool.
was funny. I used to quite often like be on Blab when I was a passenger in the car, and like people, and I'd turn the camera around, and and people would be able to see the cars. They're going to hit you. No, they're not. I said,
Right,
"Hey, I'm on the right side of the road and I'm not driving," and I'd show my
right.
friend that was driving. So
So
yeah,
you drive on the left side as well?
yeah, we do.
Wow, okay. Jiminy. See, I've always wondered if I would be able to do that. If I like what it would be like. I don't know if I could do it. Like it'd be interesting. So, but we're going to come to Australia and check out Adelaide. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
we have some pretty good wine regions. I'm not sure whether you're a wine drinker, but
I'm not a drinker, but my wife loves wine. So,
well, look, I can keep her entertained for days.
she would love it. So did you go to college or no?
No, I didn't actually.
You know.
No, I did. I finished, like our high school, but I got a job pretty much because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So college and university was not something that I'd ever really, not particularly thought about. So no, I pretty much got a job straight from school with an accountant.
Okay. And that
Mm.
was in your what? You ended up moving back to your hometown. You said when you
Mm.
were in your
Yeah.
early 20s, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think I was 23, 24. Yeah, moved back there and got married and moved back to my husband's, family farm, which
Okay.
was a cattle farm.
Okay.
So,
So you went from
yeah,
sheep and crops to cattle.
yeah, I
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
But our farm was probably not it. So cattle are not as much work as what sheep are. So the farm didn't particularly need me to work on the farm. So I
Yeah.
pretty much always worked off farm.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
My
pretty much.
my wife slash producer just commented and said, Adelaide looks beautiful. There are 1.3 million population.
Thanks. That's excellent.
So
Thank you
now,
to your producer.
now from here on out, if anybody asks you, you'll know.
Excellent. I won't look silly.
That is so funny. So, so you are now on a sheep or a cattle farm. You're married, and so where's life going at that point? How's it going?
So I worked for our local council, and I'm not quite sure, so what that would be the equivalent in your world. In Australia we have sort of three tiers of government. We have our federal government, which is our national. Then we have our state government, and then we have local government, which they pretty much deal with like local I was going to say not even counties. Anyway, not quite sure what it would be.
Something just happened to the video. I don't know what happened. You got.
Can you see me?
I see three of you all of a sudden. That's Hey, on Skype, just hit your camera down at the bottom of Skype. Hit the camera button to turn your camera off, and hit it again and turn it right back on. See if that fixes it. There. Oh, it fixed it for a sec. There, you're back. You're good. You're good. We're good. We're good. Okay.
Don't know. I can only see one of me. Three's scary.
It was weird. It was like an old black and white. Yeah. Anyway, so my wife just said Adelaide is the fifth most populous urban area in Australia. So look at that.
It would be.
Wow.
Mm.
So I'm sorry. Go ahead. I interrupted you because of the video.
So I worked for our local council and then had two kids. So I have a 27-year-old son and a 24-year-old daughter. My son lives in Melbourne, which is in Victoria, which is on the, which is about 700 kilometres, so whatever that would be in miles, 500 miles, or 450 miles, from here. And so, but yeah, I pretty much always worked off farm. So I got involved in adult education, and I don't know how it was not ever something that was on my agenda. So I used to coordinate a lot of the education, like so like adult education. So, I used to organise cooking classes and all sorts of things. Really, I taught for one of our local TAFE, which is not college, but it was probably similar to college, maybe post-college. So I used to teach information technology. I taught people how to use computers, and back in 2000 then I got a job with the government department teaching people how to use the internet.
Wow.
So that was I got my first internet connection probably in 1997. So I was the first one in our entire rural region to get sort of the internet, and it was dial-up internet back then. It was just ridiculously slow, and it used to run through, like the phone line. But our phone lines were so terrible that if I needed to send an email, the neighbour's electric fence, if that was not quite working properly, it would affect the phone line. So I used to have to get my husband to go over and turn the electric fence off.
Oh my
gosh. I could send an email.
Oh wow!
So I could send an email. That was really interesting. So I Yeah, literally was, yeah. So I got a job with a government department teaching people how to use the internet. So I used to just drive around. Oh, like the region that I covered was huge. So I had my government car and my laptop and my projector, and I used to go and teach people how to use the internet. That was back in 2000. So,
Wow.
and so so that probably ignited my passion for online learning. And so so I sort of did a lot of that, back in those days. And I worked for our primary, like our Department of Agriculture, which in your world it would be Department of Agriculture.
Yeah.
So I worked for our Department of Agriculture for quite a while, helping farmers identify training needs and matching them with training. And
Wow.
so sort of the education thing and the online thing has been in my veins for a long time.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
I'm in the excuse me, web development world. That's what we do, and
Yes.
I tell people I built my first I built my first website in 1994, and like
Wow.
I
Yep.
mean it's so, and obviously it's evolved quite a bit since then, right? So
Absolutely. You would have been coding, with DOS and
yeah, well, it was
Windows
HTML. I
didn't
used a
exist then.
program called Hot Dog. There was an HTML editing program called Hot Dog. But yeah, it was way different back then. But
Yeah.
like so you and it sounds like you had the farm, and then you had the career going. You had kids. You had everything going. I mean, so how did things transpire from there?
So pretty much like I said, our farm didn't need me like to work full time, because there was John and his, like my husband and his father.
Right.
And so, sort of the two of them. I mean, I used to do a bit of tractor driving back then. If there was, sort of something to do with the cattle that John needed a hand,
Right.
I used to do things when I needed to, but yeah, I didn't. So pretty much I always worked off farm.
Right.
And so back in 2004, I was lucky enough so I was appointed to quite a few education, education councils in Adelaide. So our farm was probably 2 hours drive from Adelaide. And so, but it was nothing for me to drive to Adelaide 3 times a week to meetings. And so I was then, was there some feedback then?
Oh, we have another
some
issue
feedback.
here. I think your video went out again. If you can click it
Is it?
and
I
click,
think it could be my connection. Hang on.
yeah, turn your video off and back on. There you go.
Is it okay
Hold
now?
on. Yep, you're back. You're good.
Okay. Yeah. Our Australian internet leaves very, very much to be desired. It's just, I actually had better internet connection on the farm than I do here,
Oh, wow.
where I am in Adelaide. It's just ridiculous.
Oh,
Drives me
wow.
bananas.
Yeah. Well, that's all right. It's all right.
Anyway,
It's actually better than some people I've had on the show. So we're good. We're good. Just keep rolling.
Good. So in 2000, and so I was on a lot of sort of high level education councils in Adelaide, and yeah, was involved in a lot of economic development within the region and things like that. But in 2004, I actually won a scholarship, which was a $30,000 scholarship
Wow.
to look at flexible learning and online learning in rural areas. And so it allowed me to do a lot of experimentation. So we did some video conferencing, and we did wine appreciation via video conference.
Nice.
And it was one of those things that I wanted people to use technology for fun,
Yeah.
because I figured if we could get them using, so this was in 2004. So,
Yeah.
like there was not, so a lot of the video content, especially in rural areas, a lot of it was being used for meetings. So, you know, it was in either hospitals or, you know, libraries, and it was being, you know, used sort of for meetings, but it was not really used for education. So I figured if we could get people using it for fun, then the technology would be irrelevant and the actual learning would be the focus.
Yeah.
So that was sort of my thinking. So, and part of that scholarship was, so there was, I think there was, it was a national, like an Australia-wide scholarship. I think there was 60 given across Australia, and I was lucky. I think there was only 8 in South Australia, and I was lucky enough to get, you know, one of them. And but also part of that, 5 people across Australia got an overseas component, and I was lucky enough to get one of those. So I went to Wales, like in the United Kingdom.
Yeah. Wow.
And did some work over there. And I remember at the time, like before I was going, I thought, wouldn't it be fun to do a wine appreciation from Australia to Wales? And so I ended up, you know, getting in touch with the tech guys here at, you know, like at one of the institutions here in Adelaide.
Yeah.
And they used to hate it when I'd ring. They'd hear my voice and they'd say, "What do you want now?" I said, "Well, I've got this idea." And so, and you know, I said to them, "Can we do it?" "Oh, yes." And I said, "How hard will it be?" "Oh, no, it's okay." I said, "How much will it cost?" "Oh, we'll fund it." "Okay." So I was over in Wales with, I think, 10 university professors, and the winemaker was here in one part of South Australia, and there was about 40 people in our home, like in our hometown school, sitting, you know. So we actually did it from, you know, from two locations in South Australia and over in Wales, in Swansea in Wales. So that was pretty awesome. So I've probably always been, I've always pushed the boundaries as far as working out, you know, what technology can do, especially, you know, from education and bringing people together, especially, you know, like from a geographic perspective.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So you this is all going on while you still have the farm. You're going back and forth between the farm and Adelaide, and you are in you went to Wales.
Yep.
In the UK.
Yep.
And you said it was just recently you became a city girl?
Yeah, I did. So we moved from, so the sort of the education back in the rural area that I lived, the school wasn't very, the high school wasn't very large. And so it got to the stage where, you know, a lot of people would move, like they'd either send their kids to boarding school or, you know, like they might move. So we'd always decided that we would move closer to Adelaide so the kids could actually have, you know, a higher standard of, you know, like their secondary education.
Right.
So in 2005, we bought a farm closer to Adelaide. So it ended up being, it was about 70 kilometres, so 50 miles from Adelaide.
Wow.
So we moved there in 2007. So we still had the farms back in, you know, like our original home farms.
Yeah.
And so we bought this, so yeah, that would have been the third farm that we had.
Wow.
So we moved there in 2007. Our son went to boarding school and our daughter went to sort of the local school there. And then in 2008, we bought another farm, you know, sucker for punishment.
Wow.
So we bought another farm because what actually happened is when we bought the farm closer to Adelaide, it had like irrigation, so it had water access to, like, from a lake. And so the plan was that we were going to bring our cattle from the original farms down to this, you know, the farm that we bought, so we could, you know, irrigate and so almost a drought, you know, theoretically drought-proof, you know, our enterprise. Well, we bought the farm it was at a place called Milang, Milang, which is at the bottom of the River Murray. in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
We bought that in 2005, and then 2006 it stopped raining, and we had a drought. So we couldn't physically irrigate because the lake dried up far enough that we couldn't access water. So that was an interesting time. So in 2008 we bought another farm which had underground water, and it was an alfalfa producing farm. So we produced hay for the horse industry.
Yeah.
So
now,
that was in
I have a question, because you're on your fifth farm. It sounds like. Are you keeping all the other farms, or are you selling them and buying enough? You're keeping them?
We kept them. We kept them at the time.
Oh my Lord! So you own 5 farms?
Correct. At one point in time, yes, we did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, we did. At one point in time.
How does one farm 5 farms?
There's probably a story. Yeah, I was going to say. So what happened is when we bought the farm in 2000. So the last farm that we bought in 2008, we then leased the original, like our farms back in our original home, where we were, the original home farms. So John didn't actually farm those. Yeah, so we leased them out. So he didn't, that sort of took a bit of pressure off. But so in 2008 was when we bought the alfalfa. So one of the things that just thinking about how we met and the blab, back in the blab days, I met so many amazing people across the other side of the world. So I probably so that would have been I reckon that was 2015. So 3 years. Yeah, 2014, 2000, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So I've well and truly got used to, you probably noticed that when I talk about kilometres, I automatically flip it around to think
miles.
about what it is in miles.
Yeah.
And the same with, the size of the farm, we still are, it is hectares, theoretically, but we still, still talk in acres.
Uh-huh.
So, I'm always thinking about, okay, so what are you going to understand, when I'm talking about something?
Yeah.
So, in our world, alfalfa is actually called lucerne. So, but if I said lucerne to you, you'd have no idea what I was talking about.
No.
No. So we bought this alfalfa farm, and that was we bought the farm in middle of 2008, and I decided that it was producing hay for the horse, for the horse industry. So I decided to actually create a brand, and market, so literally market our hay direct to customers, which we'd always been, generally here in Australia, if you're broadacre farming, you pretty much sell your grain to big corporations. So, you have very little control over, price or anything like that. So I decided that I would create an actual brand, and market our fodder direct to customers. And so, and at the same time, I was lucky enough to, I don't even know how I did, but, joined a program, it was, I think, a 6 or an 8 week course teaching, how to do online marketing.
Wow.
And so that was back in 2008. So pretty much I was, created the business, but was learning all about, creating domains and websites and Google Analytics.
Yeah.
And so I was using our farm business as my learning. So, I created a domain called lucernehayforsale.com.au, and I installed a website on it. I installed Google Analytics.
Good
so I
for
ran
you.
some AdWords. So I was doing all of that and learning, but at the same time, the business was, so all of a sudden one day I sort of looked at the analytics of the website and went, oh hell, it's getting a lot of it's getting a lot of hits. So I ended up outsourcing the design of my website to
Yeah.
a company in India.
Oh, okay.
So I was learning about this whole online marketing course. I had like a real life learning example that
Yeah.
I could theoretically practice with.
Right.
I had I set up an autoresponder, and I had an opt-in on this web page that
Wow.
people could opt in to actually get hay prices or something. And so pretty much the whole marketing. So that business started from scratch in 2008, and I just marketed it all pretty much all online.
That's incredible. Your hay business.
Yeah, the hay business.
Oh my
Yeah, the hay
gosh.
business.
That's
So I ended up with a
incredible.
database of about, I think I had about 1,000 people on my, like on the hay database. And so I just used to, I probably didn't do a lot with it, back sort of 2008, 2009. But, and then we moved sort of closer to Adelaide so the kids could be closer to school. So we rented a house about 20 minutes from Adelaide. So John would drive back to the farm, the kids would drive to
Which
school, and
which
I
farm?
back the farm at Malang, which was about
The hay
45
farm.
minutes. The hay farm, yep,
What about the
the hay
other
farm.
4 farms?
They pretty much, they were being leased. So they sort of was,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So
I
they were
got
sort of still there.
Yeah.
So that
Wow.
was
I mean,
2008.
wow.
Yeah.
Never underestimate a farmer's wife. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. So
My wife is a huge farm girl. When I met her, she had 6 acres and a log home and she had 2 horses right next door, and like she's a huge farm girl, and she's sitting here saying smart quality hay is very important. So she knows everything you're talking about. So
absolutely. So it was really interesting because we were farmers that had tradition. Like we weren't. We never sold anything direct. Direct to customers. So
right.
I literally was just learning about marketing and learning about the online stuff all at the same time. And I
Wow.
remember, thinking about the LinkedIn. So I went on LinkedIn in 2007.
Wow.
And back then, and for a long time, you used to be able to see what member number you were of LinkedIn. So now there's, I think, 355 million people on
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And I was member 16 million something.
Wow.
So yeah, that was back in 2007. And
Yeah.
so I didn't do a lot with it sort of for a couple of years. And in 2012, I went to it was called the Internet World Internet Business or something. It was so like sort of had it was speakers from stage, and they were
Yeah.
selling their programs, and so that was in 2012. So that was sort of when I started to then really learn more about Facebook marketing and
Yeah.
and LinkedIn. And so as part of I was learning about like Facebook ads. And so I created a Facebook page called I Love My Horse Today.
I
And
love what?
I love my horse today.
Okay.
Yeah. So I started that page. That was in 2013. I started that page from nothing, and within 21 days I had 10,000 fans.
Oh my God. Are you
Yeah.
serious? Is it still
Yeah.
up?
Yeah, it's got 36,000 fans now.
Oh my God. I know what my wife's getting ready to do. You're about to have 36,001. So
And it's funny. So, like I said, I'm a learner that learns by doing.
Yep.
And and I've always, and I think, like even, I think back to, 2004 when I was doing the video conferencing and,
Yeah.
we did floristry via video conference.
Okay.
And I always figured that, well, what's the worst thing that can happen? No one's going to die.
Right.
Like if it doesn't work, so be it. You work out, the best parts and then you adapt. And so that's probably always been my mantra as far as, the technology. And, so yeah, the LinkedIn, it was probably 2012 that I sort of started to do more with that. And I made a conscious decision that I would actually grow I would connect with anyone that wanted to connect with me, because I'm actually naturally a connector. And, it's taken a long time for me to work that, work that out. But, I'm a connector.
I gotta like for a second, just interrupt you. Like, here you are like, you're literally just a farmer. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's very unassuming that a girl that grew up on a farm, became a farmer's wife, running 5 farms, would ever figure out all of this stuff you're talking about. Like, that's insane. That's incredible. So here you are now. You're into Facebook marketing. You're into creating a Facebook page. I love My Horse Today, which is a great idea, because then you can go in there and direct to consumer market your hay. Like, right? I'm assuming that's probably
that particular page I didn't, because that page. That was part of my learning, as far as, like how about engagement and about ads and about targeting. And so it was really that I had no particularly I built that page with no intent, if that makes sense.
Yep.
It was just for me to learn. So when it got to the 10,000 fans, in the 21 days, I gone, oh, hell, that's pretty easy. And so so I was also doing a lot of posting and experimenting with, like times of posting and stuff like that. So, in reality, I've actually never done anything with that page, if that makes sense. Like,
wow.
It was my learning.
Wow.
But because, and the same with, like our hay business.
Yeah.
Because I knew, and, I was learning about email, like what to put in emails and how to get people to open them, and how to, like I sent one email out and I sold, I think, $11,000 worth of hay within, I don't know, a few hours. And I did that quite a few times. So,
wow.
So because I was doing that and learning, then I could help other people. Because I knew I'd done it, then being able to actually apply that to other people's businesses made it really easy. And I could say, well, okay, this is what I did.
Yeah.
So rather than just learning it, I'd put it all into practice as well.
That is so. I'm honestly, I mean, I'm blown away. I'm really impressed. And it's I obviously that's the business I'm in, and I've done it for a long time. But like, to hear, and people are, I'm gonna get hate messages probably saying, "What do you mean, just a farmer?" I don't mean it like that. Like,
absolutely not. No,
I don't mean it like that. I grew up in the middle of a bunch of cornfields. I'm very familiar with farming, but I just like it blows me away that. And I'll bet you that when you sold $11,000 worth of hay in a couple of hours, your husband was probably high-fiving you like, wow, you go, girl. Like, so that's insane. Yeah. And so now, like, okay, So let's fast forward. We're running out of time. We only have
Oh,
10 minutes. Lord
oh,
have
gee.
mercy. So let's fast forward a little bit to today. Let's talk about what you're doing now.
So oh look, we probably need to do part two. 'Cause there's about this much in between.
Fill us in quickly.
So in 2010, I was actually diagnosed with breast cancer.
Oh.
And so in amongst all of that, like every year, there was this part of the business, but then there was all of this other stuff that was happening in our personal worlds that,
wow.
Like I said, there needs to be a part two.
Now, we can go over. Just keep going. Let's tell that story.
Okay, so that was rewind. So my mother had breast cancer at 36.
Oh.
So I was 12, and then she got it again at 48. So I was 24. We were just about to get married anyway. Like I said, that's a story for another day. So I was diagnosed in 2010, and had surgery. And fine. Like I said, story for another day.
Yeah.
So my husband and I actually separated in 2014.
Oh wow.
And so I stayed on the farm. So we still worked the farm together. So I stayed on the farm until January 2016.
Okay.
And moved closer to Adelaide, and happened to somehow get a job managing a cancer care centre.
Wow.
So for 18 months I managed a centre that helped people with that had cancer. So
wow.
It was almost one of those, and like I said, there's so many many stories.
Sure.
So I did that until October last year, and then sort of the whole time I've been still doing the LinkedIn, running some LinkedIn training and helping people with their LinkedIn profiles and doing a lot of that stuff. So
wow.
that's sort of where. And so at the moment I work part-time at a community centre.
Yeah.
Running some education programs for them and managing some of their education programs. But in my own world, I work with individuals and businesses on their LinkedIn profiles, and so I ended up So I have 30,000 LinkedIn connections.
That's insane.
Which it's incredible, and I do remember on Blab, your comment about, you're just a farmer. I remember being, one of the first times I was on Blab, there was a guy called Stephen Caggiano, Ryan Stein-Olfsen, and there was another guy, doesn't matter. And I just literally jumped on and started chatting, and, we've never met a farmer from Australia, and, just sort of chatting away. And I remember sort of saying something like, I do a little bit of stuff with LinkedIn. And, that was, and I remember saying, I've got 25,000 connections. And I remember clear as if it was yesterday, Stephen Caggiano sitting, he said, what did you say? And I said, yeah, I've got 25,000 connections. And he said, Leanne, there's not that many people in the world that have got that level of connections. And he said, what's more incredible is you're just a farmer from South Australia.
Right.
And said, you're not famous, you're not you've just, and look, it is.
That's incredible. And that's my point. You're and it sounds almost offensive to say it like that, but you're just a farmer from South Australia. And here you are with all of this technology experience and social media, and it's incredible. I have a friend that he's a friend. I had him on the show. His name's Chris, and I tagged him in LinkedIn, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, we're not connected. So I tried to connect with him, and it wouldn't let me. And I said, dude, why can't I connect with you? He's like, LinkedIn only allows 35,000.
30,000.
30,000. So I couldn't even.
Yep.
Are you and I connected on LinkedIn?
I'm not sure.
We better be, because this video will be on there, and I won't be able to
So what I actually did, I was lucky enough that I hadn't hit 30,000 when, so it always used to be 30,000 was the magic number, but they never enforced it. And there weren't that many that, because there's probably, like on LinkedIn, you can have followers
Yeah.
as well as, so, but you don't have to be connected to have a follower.
Right.
So
right.
people have got, there's, Obama's got some ungodly amount of,
Right.
followers, but you can actually only have physically 30,000 first level connections. So
That's crazy.
I've kept my connection level. I think I've got 29,825.
Oh, okay.
So I've got,
That little yeah. It's like
but I've
Facebook.
I've got 1,600 sitting in my invitation, sitting in my inbox to accept.
Wow.
So I have to delete some to be able to accept. So it's sort of the people that I really want to connect with.
Right.
I've left that gap. So if we're not, we can.
Yeah,
I've still got
send me a connection request so we can.
Yeah.
So I can say some farmer chick from South Australia sent me a LinkedIn friend request.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Listen, we are at the end of the hour, and I got to tell you, like, I didn't know what to expect with you, and quite honestly, I've been shocked. I've been absolutely amazed. You have, first off, you have a heart of gold. I can just tell you're a great person. And second, like, wow, like you're so much different than I thought it was going to be. Like, you're incredible. So, and I didn't think you were going to be a bad person. I just didn't realize that I was going to have an Australian farmer lady come on and tell me how. So let me ask you this though. Because LinkedIn is huge, right? And all of social media is huge. But LinkedIn and Facebook are very, very important. If somebody wanted to learn what you know, do you have anything out there that people?
I do. I've got a mastermind program that at the moment it's just in the process of it's sitting there, but I haven't got a new intake just at this instant, but I'm planning to start that probably in about 3 or 4 weeks time. So people could join that, but I actually work one-on-one. I tend to work one-on-one with people, and I do LinkedIn a bit different to what most other people. I don't create a lot of content. I tend to actually build, as ridiculous as it sounds when I've got 30,000 connections, clearly I can't know 30,000 people, but I make connections and build relationships really deeply and quickly. Yeah. So I tend to actually teach people how to, connect with.
Your video just went bad again.
Darn it. Hang on.
Daggone South Australian cities.
Darn it. Darn internet. Is that better?
There, you're back.
Yeah. So people can work with me one-on-one, and that's probably how I tended to be working at the moment, but the mastermind's going to be starting in about 3 weeks.
That's awesome. So, and again, it does no good at all to have 30,000 connections if you don't know how to market or really connect with those people. Like, I have 5,000 Facebook friends, which is the limit, and 24,000 on my Facebook fan page. And I really work on trying to build genuine connections and relationships with. But I mean, it's tough, and so hopefully I'm sure that's part of your mastermind. So,
It is, and it's about it's about always sending a personalized connection request.
Yeah.
And LinkedIn, you didn't used to be able to connect really without sending a note. But, over the time, LinkedIn have changed it. So now it's just so easy to just hit connect.
Yeah, right.
Whereas, if you actually personalize the request, I had a lady I worked with the other day who I spent a couple of hours with. She sent me an email saying, Leanne, I've done everything that you told me. And she said, just by personalising the request, she said, I think I've got 95% acceptance of my requests.
That's awesome. That's
you know,
awesome.
there's a few things that, you know, like I connected the other day with the CEO of Red Rooster here in Australia,
What is that?
like a Hungry Jack's.
Oh, okay.
Burger King.
Okay, Burger King. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I've never heard of
Burger
Hungry
King.
Jack's either.
No, Burger King. It's Hungry Jack's here. It's Burger King over there.
Okay, yeah.
But you know, like it was one of those things that you know, I engaged with him on one of his posts, and so yeah,
That's awesome.
That's what I specialize in.
You know, I'm surprised. Like I'm connected on LinkedIn with there's a late night TV host here named Conan O'Brien that I'm connected with him on LinkedIn. I'm connected with Brian Tracy, the famous sales trainer, Grant Cardone, obviously, and you know, so all of these and I oftentimes personally I look at LinkedIn and I think, man, I really need to do better with LinkedIn. Like I'm great with Facebook but like LinkedIn, I just always forget about it.
Yeah, it's such a great platform.
I know.
I love it.
Sounds like I need to join your mastermind.
Okay, I can give you some private tips.
Yeah, there we go.
But you know, I think it's one of those things that, you know, like people can get their Facebook pages managed by someone else, and whereas LinkedIn, most people manage their own profile, and for me, that's the actual key because there's not that many places that you can get directly to the person that you want to speak to.
Right, I agree.
And that's the gold of LinkedIn.
Yeah. Well, and again, I think that, and Brian Hess is on here. Brian is in Pittsburgh, the best city in America, but Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And Brian says LinkedIn has helped me close millions of dollars in business. So maybe
Absolutely.
I need to take Brian's course.
I was going to say maybe I need to have a chat to Brian and see. And
we all need to take Brian's course.
I mean, it's, you know, I think one of the things, you know, like for me is because, you know, like like I said, I don't ever discount a connection, you know, and whether that be, and LinkedIn for me is a tool.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm a connector in every part of my world. So, you know, LinkedIn has just been a natural, just something that's come naturally to me.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's just interesting to see how different people use it in different industries, and so, you know, I'd love to have a chat to Brian because it's always good to have different sort of examples and case studies, and you know, we all learn from everyone.
Yeah.
You know, no one knows everything.
Yeah. Well, hey, and Sherry Matthews is on here, and you know, you're a breast cancer survivor, and so is she, and she's got her entire business is around that. It's really cool. Oh. So you guys should connect for sure. Sherry Matthews, and she's in Austin, Texas. She thinks Austin is the best city in the world. I've never been there, so I don't know. I don't have a gauge.
I've got a very good friend in Austin, so I'd better say the same thing, otherwise he'll kill me.
There you go. Well, listen.
We were actually talking the other day about how we can make, you know, like, I really actually want to come to the US and you know, and run some workshops. And so I said to him the other day, right, so we need to work out how we can make that happen. So, okay, so Austin's on my map.
Yeah, I mean, if you, I mean, I think you and I should have some conversations offline because, I would love to learn more about your LinkedIn, you know, and I just love to talk to you more about it because you could do some workshops and leave the U.S. a multimillionaire. Head back to Australia, like, you know, with money trailing out of your private jet, because people need to learn how to use these platforms, and you know, experience and numbers don't lie. There's all kinds of people.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of people out there, these young kids. No offense to any young kids, but there's all kinds of young kids out here charging hundreds or thousands of dollars to teach people how to use LinkedIn or this or that, and they don't even have the following. And it's like, dude, what are you going to teach me? Like,
I know.
you know? And you have the experience and you have the backstory. You're just a farmer from South Australia. I love
I'm just a farmer. I think I've taught as many people, you know, like when in the blab days, like I used to be driving the tractor and blabbing at the same time. And so the amount of people that have actually learnt, you know, like how you make a bale of hay. And, you know, I remember being on there one day and like my husband had lifted up a bale of hay and there was a snake under it. Yeah. And, you know, like, and so, you know, I had blab, you know, I'm showing all the people on blab, you know, like this snake and,
hilarious.
So, yeah, no, it's been quite interesting.
I've actually baled hay. I've baled hay. I know what it's like. And I also know how not to bale hay. You don't ever wear swimming trunks and sneakers and a T-shirt to bale hay, okay?
No, you don't.
No, it's bad.
No.
Like you end up with hay embedded in parts of your body that you never thought was even possible. So
no.
But anyway, listen, I got to wrap up here. But Leanne, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I think it would be rhetorical to ask, where does everybody where should they go follow you?
LinkedIn probably, but send me a personal connection request.
Yeah.
And otherwise, yes, and I do that. No, on LinkedIn, my website's leanneIsaacson.com.
Okay.
So they can go there, but no, connect with me on LinkedIn or on Facebook. I'm there too.
That's right. That's right.
Or Twitter.
Or Twitter. What about Instagram?
Yeah. No, I'm not a big Instagram.
Leanne, you got to get on Instagram.
I know, and I used to post some inspirational sort of pictures, and my son would say, "Mum, what are you posting that junk for?"
Oh, don't listen to him.
I
know. Don't listen to him. Listen to you. Listen and get on. Instagram's huge now. It's just huge. So anyway, listen. I'm gonna wrap it up. Thank you so much. I really genuinely appreciate you coming on. You are amazing. Sherry Matthews wants to connect with you. I'm sure Brian Hess will. My wife already liked your horse Facebook page. She said that. I told you, I knew she would. So you are amazing. And you know what? Maybe in a couple of months or so, I'll have you on for a part 2 or a follow-up.
More than happy. Anytime.
You're amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Everybody, make sure you go follow Leanne. And, hey, thank you for all the likes, the hearts, the shares. There's been a lot of people that shared this out. Thank you all. You'll have an amazing day, and we will see you tomorrow. Thank you, Leanne.
Thanks, everyone. See you later.